Hello and welcome to the 445 Productive Through Joy show with your host and your boy, Dr. Michael Datcher. The show airs each weekday morning, hella early AF at 4:45 a.m. and goes until 4:45 p.m. here on YouTube's Michael Datcher channel. If you're new to the show, allow me to say a few words about myself. But first, hit that subscribe button and go to productivethroughjoy.com. See about us. We speak to groups, schools, and organizations about being productive through joy. All right. So, I am Dr. Michael Datcher, author of the New York Times bestseller Raising Fences, which was a Today Show Book of the Month. Pick that book's film rights were optioned by the actor Will Smith, whose people call my people, and I eventually agreed to write the screenplay for that particular project. I'm also the author of the acclaimed historical novel Americas, which is set 13 miles from Ferguson, where Michael Brown was murdered, and of course the conflagration which ensued there initially as well. I am the board president of the World Stage, a literary and jazz venue here in Los Angeles, for a 501c3 nonprofit. 7 days a week of really extraordinary programming. Go to theworldstage.org to learn more about that great nonprofit. My educational background is UC Berkeley as an undergraduate, my master's from UCLA, and my PhD in English literature from the University of California at Riverside. I'm currently a professor of English literature at Loyola Marymount University here in Los Angeles. I am an expert at being productive, all right? I don't say that to brag or boast, but people are oftentimes surprised at my level of productivity given how crazy my own personal narrative is. I am the product of a young girl who was violated at an early age, gave birth to me at 17. Terrible story. I was adopted by a wonderful single divorcee who no biological father, no adopted father. Listen, difficult times for the young MD, yet as cool. Modi famously said, "How you like me now?" Right? And if I can be this productive and be so through joy, so can many of us who are watching the show. So thanks for being here. Today we're talking about mastering emotions. Whoa, in productivity. I say whoa because that's a issue for me and for many people. How do we master our emotions? Emotions are not good or bad. They have the potential to really help you, as you'll see in a second, but also, as we know for many of us, including myself, certainly in the past, and at times at the very present, they can be extremely destabilizing. So that is the topic of the day. Again, go to productivethroughjoy.com to see about us. We speak to groups, schools, and organizations about being productive through joy. Thanks for being here. So today, again, we're talking about mastering the emotions. And point one is that you want to be thoughtful, be intentional, be aware, be conscious of your emotions. You know, in the Buddhist tradition, they say, I'm not a Buddhist, but I know quite a few Buddhists who are in my circle. They talk about being an observer, almost like you're sitting on your shoulder watching yourself, right? You want to be an observer of your emotions. Um, you want to recognize that, wow, I'm responding in certain ways. You want to be an observer of yourself. I'm responding in certain ways to certain things. My emotions are driving me. And once you recognize that you are not your emotions, that you're actually removed from them, because if you are observing them, you actually are removed from your emotions. You're actually watching them. You can then begin to deal with them, make them work for you, change them, place them into use. So that's point one, being able to observe yourself, which gives you the opportunity, the vantage point in which to observe your emotions. Point two is that you want to be able to use them for your good. So here's how emotions can be used for good. In the meditative process, in the visualization process, if you know this world, when you attach an idea to emotion, it works more powerfully. Meaning, if I visualize, as I do all the time, living, making a thing manifest, whether it be a certain amount of income for the month, or whether it be a certain property I want to purchase, whether it be whatever, a part of my relationship with my children, or my partner, my lady, I visualize that, right? Whether it's me accessing a higher level of spirituality, I visualize that. And that visualization will manifest more quickly if I can attach emotions to it, like have the experience of being in that home, have the experience of holding that particular amount of money, have the experience of being with my children in a certain way, right? In a healthy, positive, productive, powerful way. Because if you have kids, you know at times kids can test you. And so when you attach emotions to those visualizations, man, I'm not even sure why this works, but it does appear to be that the universe is a feeling universe. Like, excuse me, is a feeling universe, meaning that the feeling that you put out into the universe, emote, when placed in the direction of something positive or progressive, literally that thing will manifest. Now, the danger and the very real contradistinction to this point is that it also works in the exact same way in the opposite way, right? When you are worried about a thing happening, like all that emotion, listen, when that's what you're holding in your mind, that thing is more than likely going to manifest. That's just what it is. So in pop culture, there's a pop culture term for this that most of us have heard about or probably experienced through our own lives or someone in our family, as I certainly have, and also with folks in my family, the so-called self-fulfilling prophecy. And as a sidebar, at times social scientists and traditional scientists, I'll call that, yeah, traditional scientists will give names to things that the universe creates within a spiritual context. So I just explained to you this idea of holding a thought in your mind. It's a feeling universe. You hold a thing in your mind, that thing manifests. That thing will manifest. Social scientists have seen this so often that they've given it a name that people now believe in or know that it's true. We call that now in the pop cultural world the self-fulfilling prophecy. They've named that because they have seen that in their research because it's real. So if you don't believe me, believe your local psychologist, your local social psychologist. All right? You want to be able to master, which goes right into point 3, you want to be able to master which way you are using your emotions, because if you don't, your emotions will use you. We find ourselves at times engaging in behavior that we know is not good for us, but we say to ourselves, I can't help it. I just can't help it. I'm stuck up in this piece, right? I can't make myself stop. Now listen, of course, at times when it's an addiction, there's a chemical addiction to certain alcohol and certain types of drugs. We get that, and one should just seek help for sure. But whatever you need to do, you also need to understand, well, as you get help, know that there is an emotional aspect to it as well. True, for some of us, there's a chemical dependence upon a drug, which is a real thing, as we know. But even in that chemical dependence piece, there's also an emotional aspect. And you just want to do all that you can do to help yourself if you do have an addiction issue, right? Get help. But also help yourself by being able to manage and master your emotions, because you can use the emotions that you have for your benefit, right? At times in certain traditions they say, the emotions are all bad. You should free yourself from all emotion. Well, I mean, I get that. I don't agree with that perspective. Emotions are neither good or bad. They just are. Emotions are what you do with them, right? Emotions, passions. You have to, in certain traditions, certain Buddhist traditions especially, they talk about liberating oneself from emotions. Okay, which is, as I explained a second ago, there's a good aspect to that, because you don't have to operate based upon you have the freedom of your will to decide, as opposed to giving in the morning and not getting up. You can master that, be the master of your will, and say, you know what, I'm going to get up because I want to meditate, I want to do what I need to do, I want to pray, I want to read, I want to study, I want to run. You have the power to do that. Taking that small example, that can be applied to so many things. So think about that. Boom, goes the dynamite. That's all for today's show. We air each weekday morning, hella early AF at 4:45 a.m. here on YouTube's Michael Datcher channel. That's it. We'll see you this afternoon at 4:45 p.m. Until then, let's talk about it and be about it. Deuces.